What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I thought it'd be fun to rank my top 5 Star Wars games of all time. There's been so many that have come out. I made sure to look through the Wikipedia of just, I don't know, hundreds at this point, just to make sure I didn't forget any. But I want to go over the top 5. I have 4 honorable mentions, so I'm just going to kind of rapid fire those 4. I think they're deserving something said about them, and then we'll go into the top 5. But before I get too far in, I do just want to shout this out. I have a third channel, right? So there's Podcast Now, Podcast Now Plus, but I also have a third channel called Podcast Now Back to the Past, where I look at old games. Hopefully today, the same day as this video, there's a tier list where I go through as many Star Wars games as I can imagine. So if you want to know what I think about all of them, or kind of more detailed of some of them, definitely check that video out. I'll leave a link in the description and as a pinned comment. Okay, let's go through really quickly these honorable mentions, starting with the original Lego Star Wars. So there's been obviously multiple of them. I think the Skywalker saga is honestly really, really good. It's nostalgia. It's, I don't know, I mean, it's my childhood growing up. I remember so clearly playing the original Lego Star Wars game. I can remember the cover. I made sure to look it up, like, okay, am I remembering the cover correctly? It was a great game. It was actually, I feel like it was the first Lego game I ever played. Maybe that would have to be checked in my head through further kind of analysis, but I feel like that was the first one, and it was very special. I think they did a really great job with it. Another one, let's go a little bit more recent, is actually the newest Star Wars Battlefront 2. So I want to make very clear, which one we're talking about here. This is EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2, 20, whatever it is, 17 or so. I love that game. Now, obviously, the loot boxes when it first came out, and I mean, governments literally had to talk about this thing in their respective Congresses and all this stuff. I mean, it was a disaster opening, but honestly, I think the game itself, even in the opening, was extremely good. The story was probably the weakest thing about it, but I love the atmosphere, how it felt, the add-ons. I mean, this is kind of a classic example. You don't want games to have to do this, but in terms of a game that has a good core but just didn't launch right and then kind of redeems itself by the end, the journey that this game went on over years, right, adding Grievous and Obi-Wan and Anakin and all this stuff, it's actually incredible. You don't really want to mimic a game like this, but they did turn it around, and I think they deserve some praise. Another one is Empire at War. I adored this game as a kid. I remember playing this game. There's actually pictures of me playing this game, showing my cousins from Canada how to play the game. So I'll always remember this game. I'll always remember just sitting there on my computer. I never really played. I mean, computer games, Sims, like there's very few computer games. I guess Zoo Tycoon, I absolutely love that. There's very few computer games I played growing up, and I think this came out 2006. So yeah, I wasn't gaming much on the PC. I didn't have a strong PC literally at all, dial-up and all that. So this game I thought was tremendous, though. And this is a game, I'd love to play this game like now and see how it is now. Maybe one day I will. And the last one is Republic Commando. I felt this one is maybe like, not the most underrated, but this one is definitely thought of as, it's not talked about as much, but it's really, really good. And I agree. I actually, the same cousin that I was showing Empire at War to, I went over to their house, and I remember seeing him play it. And I was like, what is this game? You're playing as them? And, oh, this is so different. And then I remember playing it myself. It's been ported and, kind of brought back multiple times. I think it's a very good game. So there's the honorable mentions. Let's go over the top 5. So let's start the list at number 5, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Now, it's kind of the reason, Fallen Order, I do think is an honorable mention. I do think would be like in a top 10 list. I would myself put it there because I'm talking about Survivor. I didn't mention Fallen Order in the honorable mentions, but I love it. And I think, I beat it in, 3 days. I didn't rush it. I did not rush it. I played through. I put in about 18 and a half or so hours. I feel good with what I've done. I'm sure I'll put in more hours over the coming days, but the more I think about it, like after, I really appreciate it. Even the weaknesses of it beyond the, the launch state, I suppose, right? That was obviously some of the weakest stuff with it. Beyond that, what my criticisms were a little bit of like the pacing. The middle of the game is pretty like, okay, go here, but then you're told literally once you get there to go somewhere else, so then you have to go there, and there's a lot of platforming, and the platforming's fun, and Cal is fun to play as, but sometimes it just gets so much that you're doing it. So there are weaknesses. This is not a perfect game, I don't think, but the longer, more removed, I should say, I get from the game, I really do love. I think its story, when you just look at the story, I think it is very good. I think they did a tremendous job with the characters. I think Cal is now kind of in elite territory with character. I think Marin, Grease, Sayre, like I think a lot of them are super, super good. So I think it deserves it. I really think it deserves this spot. Number 4, I'm going Knights of the Old Republic, the first one, KOTOR 1. I really want that remake. I don't know if we'll ever get it. This was a game, and I haven't played this game in a long time. So you could say number 4, a lot of people put this game at number 1, and I can understand that. I haven't played this game in years and years and years. So, some of these games have like recency bias, maybe. Some of them have like heavy nostalgia. I don't really have either when it comes to Knights of the Old Republic. It was old, so in a sense, I guess it's nostalgia, but I never felt as connected to it as I feel like so many others did, and maybe it's because I was so young, and it's just not the same kind of game as the other ones, that we're talking about. This is another one that I really would like to play modern day, and maybe I will. I'll just fire it up on Steam or whatever, play it, because I think 26-year-old Alex, I think modern day me, I think I'd really appreciate it even more than I do. But I think it's a legendary game. I do really like it, and obviously what it did for Star Wars is immense as well. And again, one more time, can we please, for the love of God, get that remake? Thank you. Number 3, I'm going Star Wars Force Unleashed. Now, this game I actually did play recently because they just ported it to the Nintendo Switch. I don't remember, was it the fall? Maybe it was like a year ago, but they gave me a review code for it. So I, just played it, and I had played it so many times. This was a game I played a lot when it first came out. And I feel like I played it maybe even after Force Unleashed 2. I played both of those around the time they actually released. I know that. And I have so much love for this game. Now, in a lot of ways, I do think the Jedi, like Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, in a lot of ways, I think they're better. But I'm really going to lean into the nostalgia, right? This is basically how I feel. You guys can, of course, let me know in the comments, but this has to be my list. And there's just something about Force Unleashed. I think, at the time it releases, I think its story is awesome. I think Starkiller is incredible. I think, even what they did story-wise with, like, the second game is quite, was quite the decision. Also, and I didn't know that, I don't think many people would know this when the game first came out, right? Because if you are a kid or you're not on the internet all the time, and also the internet was a different place, the fact is there were so many different versions with slight tweaks of like the gameplay or bosses and all this stuff. There was some things they had to do with some versions of it, and there would be considered, say, a definitive version of this game over something else. So, playing it, to be honest, I don't remember what system I played it on, but I didn't know that. I played the version that I had, which also I don't know even what that is now, but I've seen like all the versions of it, and it's actually kind of crazy when you do that. But no, I'll always have such great memories of, because that was, Force Unleashed, literally unleashing the Force. To me, that was the first time, you know what I mean? Like, that was such a powerful moment. I guess, like even the Battlefront games, you could do Force things and whatnot, and obviously it would come back, and, again, Cal is very powerful in the Force and stuff, but just something about Starkiller and bringing down that Star Destroyer. There's so many incredible scenes. Honestly, the characters, again, the story is good, but literally just being able to use the Force, I feel at the time, in a way that really wasn't around, and I felt that. Growing up playing that game, and even now I can think back and say, right now, okay, maybe it's not pushing any envelopes, but back then it certainly was, and so there you go. Okay, this one may be shocking. Number 2 is going to be Star Wars Episode 3, so the movie tie-in. Now, going through that Wikipedia list, there's multiple movie games. There are movies that became games, and this is one of the only ones I feel like I played in terms of that kind of adaptation, and it absolutely deserves a spot. Now, I will say this with a huge little asterisk, a star over here. I haven't played this game since probably 2005-06. Like, it's been since the game came out. I think it came out in 2005. I remember getting it. My dad, I think I came home from school, and my dad had bought me, like, Halo. like there was a group, I don't even know why he did it. There was a group of games, like, waiting for me. Packing the Power of Juju, Halo, this game, maybe, like, one or two others. I don't know why that happened, but I absolutely remember that did happen. And I adore this game. At the same time, I haven't played it since back then. I have no idea how it functions now. But I think back to the dueling. I mean, let's start with kind of like a side feature. Dueling, being able to pick the person that you're playing as, the enemy is playing as, absolutely incredible, and they fought like them. I mean, let me tell you, playing as Grievous in that dueling was incredible. Now, he's my favorite Star Wars character. Absolutely incredible. And that's just a side feature that you don't have to do at all. Right now, there are dueling things like bosses, I suppose, in the game, but this is kind of a side thing. I think. And I also, man, did I play this game before or after the movie? See, that's one thing I do not remember. But obviously, the game gives away the movie because several cutscenes. And, I mean, this was maybe one of the first movie tie-in games I've ever played. And I haven't played too many of them, period. So one of the only and one of the earliest ones. Because I think the concept that they literally took scenes from the movie and they put them in. And didn't the game come out first? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I watched like a video essay on this game once, and I thought that maybe I'm remembering it wrong. But did the game come out before the movie? Because there were just scenes, full-on scenes from the film in this game, and I just remembered thinking, this is incredible. This is awesome. Also, some of the branching paths, including the ending where Obi-Wan does not have to do to Anakin what happens in the movie. Anakin could actually kill Obi-Wan. I adore it. And some of these missions are incredible. They're more fleshed out, obviously, from the movies. They take, say, Obi-Wan attacking Grievous, and they expand upon that. Now, of course, then you have the Obi-Wan versus Grievous scene. You have in-game cutscenes, so it's not even. It's not cheap. It's not, oh, well, let's just take the movie, put it into the game, and those are the only scenes in the entire game. No, you have that, and then you have the in-game stuff as well that's kind of extra. And it's like, oh, my God. I mean, I loved it. Now, again, how it controls, like, I remember it feeling good. I loved fighting battle droids. I loved playing as Anakin. I loved facing, the clones. Like, I loved all of it. I don't know if it controls as well as I think it does. I don't know if it looks, it definitely doesn't look as good as I think it did, right? But it is such, I think, a good game, and I think it's one of the premier, examples of how you do it, how you do a movie adaptation into a game. I see a lot of love for this game, so I don't think it's all that risky to put it so high. Maybe number 2 is pretty high for some people, but I've definitely seen, there is love for this game. If you've never played this game, I don't know how much it costs. I don't know where you could even find it, but do yourself a favor and try to pick up this game because I don't think you would be disappointed in it. And number 1 is the background here, the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. Sad that the first Star Wars Battlefront games, both this one and then the EA one, they never make really any list, right? Because the second one's always, and I remember, here's the odd thing. I remember EA's well, it's not actually that crazy because EA's came out most recently, right? I remember EA's Star Wars Battlefront 1 more than the original Battlefront 1. But also, Battlefront 2, this one, is lights out. Like, it's just so perfect. If there is a perfect Star Wars game, in my opinion, it's this game. Now, the thing is, and we've actually done this by going through the list, like Republic Commando, Empire at War, very different games. Episode 3, Lego Star Wars, this game, Battlefront, like, they're all, or like Jedi Fallen Order, or Survivor. They're all so different. I think most genres that they have attempted in the history of Star Wars games has gotten at least one, like, maybe not masterpiece, but one elite level game. You know what I mean? I think Force Unleashed, I guess, would maybe be in the same boat as like a Jedi kind of game, right? So they've really had everything. And this is the premier game to me. Maybe because of the idea of what this game is, it wouldn't appeal to some people that maybe like the Force Unleashed or Jedis or Knights of the Old Republic. I played this game more than any Star Wars game, period. And I actually played Battlefront 2, EA's Battlefront 1 and 2. I played it a lot. There's no way I beat the time I put into this game. This has got to be one of my most played games of all time because you could just do it over and over and over. And I don't know. Again, like, it's been so long, so I don't know if it holds up, but like watching it and just like seeing all the things you can do, space fights, which then you can land in their, big ships, whatever they're called, and then attack by being like a ground kind of force, which they then replicated in EA, which I think they did actually a pretty good job. But like they started it, right? They did it first. The Galactic Assault or Galactic War, whatever they call it. It's so many modes, so many maps, so many Jedi and heroes and villains and heroes versus villains, right? Oh my God, so good being able to go around the map in Tatooine and you have your heroes and villains and everybody's picking random people and you're attacking. It is incredible. And I just played this game so much. I'd play it with friends. I'd play it by myself. It's a game that to me at the time never got old. Never once got old. And I don't know, maybe it's gotten old now. Again, this makes me want to play, a lot of these games. But no, this will always, I think, be my favorite Star Wars game. It'll probably always be my most played Star Wars game. It's actually a crying shame that we never got Battlefront 3 from this, or also even an EA Battlefront 3. You'll never actually get, because now the next Battlefront game would probably restart and just be Battlefront again. So that sucks. But at the same time, this game is lights out good. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again, on my third channel, Back to the Past, I'll leave links for it. I'm going to do a tier list, so we'll talk more about some of these games and also games I didn't talk about. We'll talk about them there. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.